もしやコスモでは。
Cosmo needs me free.
Cosmo AP Luxury Sports.
Well, I feel like doing some grunt work, so I'm going to start stripping this engine bay. I've already labeled a lot of these electrical connectors, but most of this stuff isn't going back on, or at least not going back on in the same spot. Cut that. Shit. Really important to label all these wires that you take off, because otherwise there's no hope of remembering where they all go when you put the car back together. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with the engine bay yet, but I suspect that I'm going to sandblast it and either paint it just a flat black or possibly body color. Light bulb. This harness clips are a major pain in the ass, but the trick is to pry from the side with the screwdriver and pull. I won't be reusing any of these fuel soft lines because, of course, I'll be installing fuel injection with all new, presumably braided stainless lines. So let's just cut them out. Not like fuel line is rare. Maybe someone can confirm this, but I think the thing that I'm removing is a fuel rollover switch that's supposed to cut fuel to the engine if the car ends up on its roof. Some of these bolts are kind of nasty here and are probably not going to be removed without a good shot of PB Blaster. Looks like I can take these coils off as one big assembly. Of course, none of these coils or the stock engine wiring is really going back on because it's all just unnecessary for the fuel injection system. Only a little bit of the stock engine wiring will be reused. Cosmo battery tray. I suspect I'll have to rebuild this master cylinder, even though it looks pretty new. It's likely been sitting for 20 years. As far as I know, it's all RX-4 stuff, so it should be fairly easy to find. Whoop, got some brake fluid. Towel around that before I make a huge mess. I'll just let that drain. Rubber ice in there. Keep that. Go. Just cleaning these hydraulic line fittings with a little bit of brake cleaner and a brush, just so that when I open them up, I don't get all kinds of crap into the lines. I'm sure I'll be flushing them out at some point, but it still pays to try to keep as much junk out of them as possible. So that's work later. It's very important to always use flare nut wrenches when removing these fittings, because otherwise it's almost guaranteed you'll round them off. Kind of stuck. There we go. Well, these brake lines are in pretty good condition for being 35 years old. One proportioning valve. Now that everything is disconnected, I can get rid of these hydraulic lines. These are in good shape, so I'll definitely be reusing these. Check out what arrived today in the mail. I got a Cosmo front grille, a set of Cosmo taillights with trim, Cosmo front headlight bezels, taillight, and there they are, rear quarter windows. So it looks like I'm well on my way to finding all of the hard to find parts I need to find. I'm just removing the interior bolts for the clutch master cylinder. You need a long ratchet and a wobbly socket to do this. The hydraulic line's already disconnected, so the master cylinder now slides right out. Ugh. It's really weird. This clutch line seems to be held to the body by this bendy clip. It's very un-Mazda-like. I don't know what the deal is with this. All the other ones bolt on. Okay, this is the choke cable, so it can go away forever. I'll likely just weld this choke cable hole up. Right now I'm removing the E-clip for the throttle cable pin. Then the pin itself. Now it should come out from the engine bay. Looks like I can remove the throttle cable just by removing these two bolts. Now that's a lot easier than in the new RX-7s that have that infuriating little plastic clip. The speedometer cable's already disconnected from the dash for some reason, so it should just pull out. There we go. Easy enough. Yuck. There we go. These are going to break. Oh, guess not. I think I'll just push this into the cabin for now. Oh, the rubber grommet disintegrated anyway, so that's kind of unfortunate. For the hood latch, I bought another trunk solenoid from Autolock, so I'm thinking that this will very easily connect to the latch and be positioned inside the cowl. So I'll use one of the extra channels on my shave door remote to also open the hood. Well, I might as well lose the hood latch at this point as well. Of course, I'll just have to put it back on to fit that solenoid. I'm just removing these old fuel hoses from the hard line. Sometimes you gotta climb into an engine bay to do the work. This is actually quite pleasant because there is an engine mount up my butt. Also, that's what she said. These old fuel hoses are going right in the garbage, but I'm likely going to reuse these fuel hard lines because they're in pretty good shape. Once again, I'm up underneath the dash. This time I'm removing the bulkhead connector for the driver's side wiring harness. It disconnects via several connectors inside the car, so I'm assuming that after I remove these two bolts, the whole wiring harness should come right out. Harness should now pop right out. Yep, look at that. Gee, I wish new cars had connectors like this. Passenger side harness comes out in exactly the same way, except it was 10 times more annoying to get at the under dash plugs. Right now I'm removing the windshield washer squirter nozzles. They should just slide right out, I think. There we go. Well, I don't have a pitman arm puller, so I'm going to try to disconnect the pitman arm at the center link instead of at the steering gear, so that I can actually remove it without having to make a trip to the rental store. The first step in this is cleaning all the crap off of the bolt. It's a castle nut, so first the cotter pin has to be removed. There we go. Should just be able to tap this out with a hammer. Holy crap, it just popped off. Awesome. Just move this down to clear the ball joint. There we go. And that disconnects the steering box from the rest of the steering gear, so the box can now come off without having to pull this pitman arm. I've been trying to get the steering box off now for about 40 minutes, and I just couldn't figure out how to get to this bolt in here. I found this collar inside the car that goes around the steering column, and by removing 4 bolts around the outside, it looks like it will just slide forward into the car, giving me access to that bolt. I'm going to mangle my firewall insulator at the same time, but you know what, it's already mangled, so what the hell. There's one bolt on the steering column, which looks like when loosened, it will allow me to slide the box off into the engine bay. And there's obviously a bunch of Loctite on it. There we go. I think by loosening that clamp, I can now slide the box out. Okay, according to the factory service manual, the bolt on the inside should not be removed. So I now had enough room to remove the bolt here. So in theory, this thing will slide right out now. And then I'll tap the inside one back into its proper position. Almost. There we go. Oh my God, this thing weighs like 40 pounds. Here. God. Well, the final two items to come out of the engine bay are the engine mount and then the Mazda nameplate. One. Engine mount, the second. Hey, maybe someone out there knows why I have this square style engine mount on the driver's side and this round style, which appears to be first gen RX-5 engine mount, on the passenger side. Did they come like that, or did someone swap mounts? Almost forgot about this steering linkage. Damn it. Uh-oh. Okay, I just spent 10 minutes trying to get these nuts off, and then I realized that the nuts are welded to the bracket, and the steering linkage is actually removed by taking these two bolts off in the wheel well. One. No room for the impact on this one. Number two. Rust on this area of the frame is actually quite common, and it looks like I have a little bit. Easy problem to solve though. I very carefully disconnected these heater hoses from inside the car. Should just slide right out now. There we go. I had to be very careful not to damage the heater core while loosening these things. I'm pretty sure I'm going to replace it with a vintage air kit, but it still bodes well not to do any damage. There we go. It feels kind of symbolically weird to remove this Mazda nameplate. I guess that means that the nameplate won't be put back on again until the car is ready to go back on the road.